I have always been someone who walks fast. I thought it is just part of who I am. Now I wonder if it is a sign my nervous system has been stuck in survival mode. For as far back as I can remember, I have enjoyed walking at a pace where I can feel my leg muscles strain to go farther, like somehow by taking longer strides, pushing harder, and going faster than the next person, that it'll make me better. As if I'm in a never-ending race to get to the finish line that only I can see. Or that if I walk faster, then I can be more efficient with my time. I've rarely felt like I've had time to just be still. My grandmother was also someone who couldn't be still. I have vivid memories watching her bustling around the kitchen, doing projects in the garden, or whizzing around as she took care of everyone around her. Even her work as a reflexologist was something where she would line up all the grandkids and fit in our foot rubs, one after the other, in between chores she was completing. The rest of the family has always been busy too, but not in the same way. It was a running joke in our family to see how long it would take my grandmother to finally sit down and rest. She said that she could rest when she was dead. I loved the perspective that life was too short to sit around and do nothing, that each day was an opportunity to be useful, productive, and valuable to those around us. I told myself that maybe I was born with the same instinct, that it was in my blood. After all, my grandmother and I shared the same star sign, so that must mean something. What I didn't realize was that somewhere along the way, I had also inherited the belief that rest was something that I had to earn. This has shown up in more ways than me walking fast. I've always enjoyed trying new things, doing my best, and finding solutions to problems that other people don't see. My best friend in high school was one that often talked about us only having one life to live. It was a message that I took to heart so much so that now I have a tattoo of the words, "one life." Those words are hard to forget, but more than that, it's a message that's hard to ignore. Regardless if you believe in something after this life of ours, there is only one shot at the life we have right now. The moment right now, where we are in this second, once it's gone, it's gone. Even the air we breathe creates a gas exchange of oxygen for carbon dioxide. The oxygen we breathe in is there no longer, forever changed like the imprint of our shoe on a dirt track. There is something so powerful and completely overwhelming about that thought if you sit with it long enough. And sitting with it is something I haven't liked to do much of, because I'd rather be doing. Years ago, I wanted a break from my life of working full-time in the city. I was looking for a holiday, but I wanted something that was more grounding, centering, and in tune with myself. I found a yoga retreat that was focused on meditation. At that point, I hadn't done much meditation, but I liked the idea of it, so I thought I'd give it a go. After all, I had already walked the length of New Zealand, so how hard could sitting with my eyes closed be? It sounded peaceful. I found my way to Coromandel and settled into what I assumed would be 4 days and 3 nights of blissfully practicing yoga and meditation before returning home a better and more spiritual version of myself. What I hadn't registered when signing up was that it was a silent meditation retreat. That meant for the entire time that I was there would be no speaking, no music, no sound save for the gongs used to mark specific times during our practice. I didn't mind. It allowed me to be fully present and in the moment with what we had going on, and I felt a sense of pride that I could be one of those yogis that created a practice of enlightenment untouched by others. But it was strange. The group that attended there were all unknown to me. Strangers I was only allowed to smile and nod to. No hellos were exchanged, no questions asked, no small talk allowed us to bond. Our days were filled with yoga, meditation, shared meals, and chores. Once I got into the swing of things, it was okay. Kind of like an introvert's haven. What I learned during that time was that meditation can be found in any moment where we are truly present. It doesn't have to be sitting cross-legged on a colorful pillow while incense billows out around you. Meditation can be done while stacking wood, while washing the dishes, while going to the toilet. I felt free in that because the act of doing was combined with being. I felt grounded in knowing that I could use my productivity for my own meditative purposes. I could get stuff done while being at one with myself. It felt great, but I couldn't hide in my meditative chores alone. The retreat schedule also had traditional meditation sessions, 45 to 60 minutes of cross-legged silence. I wasn't able to do. I had to just be. Sit there, eyes closed, nothing to still my nerves but the repetitive nature of my breath. I settled onto a provided pillow and tried to become one with myself. 2 minutes in and everything was screaming at me. My hips ached, my spine wanted to slouch, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't rid my brain of its thoughts. I wanted enlightenment, but I was left with the internal chatter in my head and had an itch I felt forbidden from scratching. I immediately became enraged with myself. I was angry that I couldn't just be, angry that I was doing meditation wrong, that my entire body behaved as though sitting still was the hardest thing I had ever asked of it. Everyone else looked peaceful, breathing slowly, sitting still. Meanwhile, I was counting the minutes until the gong rang. I hadn't come there to battle myself. I wanted peace. I wanted serenity. Instead, I felt silly, unworthy, and dejected. Even still, I finished that retreat and kept a meditation practice up until it felt more comfortable. But I still treated it like an item on my to-do list to check off, because I had to associate a value to what I was accomplishing by being. It's taken me years to realize that being productive, for me, was often used as a survival tactic. That to be the best version of myself, I needed to do as much as I can. That it's in my productivity that I am worthy. I would have never said I believed my worth came from my productivity. If you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have laughed at that idea. But recently I started digging deeper. Why was it so hard to sit still? Why did resting make me so uncomfortable? Why did I feel guilty on my days off? The answer was impossible to ignore, because I had started believing that doing more made me more valuable, as if I am seen for who I am through the things I do, as if my value is found in doing the most that I can. We all have the same 24 hours, and the truth of that made me believe that every spare moment was an opportunity. Learn something, build something, face a fear, improve myself. But somewhere along the way, I confused using my time well as a means to calculate my worth through my actions. It has fed my need to be a doer for years. I reasoned that 24 hours in the day can only fit so much, so it's all the more reason to walk fast, to do more, be productive, value efficiency. Moving through the world at as quick a pace as I can muster. If I wasn't making the most of my time, I felt like I was wasting myself. And I've found value in that mentality for years. It's gotten me through some very dark places. It's pushed me beyond my fears to try things unexpected. And it's guided me to be more efficient with my time. And at the very least, I've developed stronger legs from constantly walking fast. Walking 3,000 kilometers along Te Araroa certainly helped with that. You'd think somewhere in those 5.5 months I would have learned how to slow down. But I don't think I really did. I still measured my days by distance. I'd wake up wondering how many kilometers I could cover, which hut I would make it to for that night, whether I could push just a little farther or a little faster. Even on the trail that was built for walking, I was still trying to arrive, to achieve, to prove something. And this was evident even after Te Araroa. All I wanted to do then was rest. I was so tired of the deadlines, the expectations, and the doing. But that didn't last for very long. Shortly after finishing Te Araroa, I ran the Hanmer Springs Half Marathon in barefoot running shoes, just because I could. I've never stopped walking fast, even now. But when you spend your life walking as fast as you can to get to where you want to go, sometimes you miss the point. And I almost did. I became so used to doing, multitasking, and being productive that I had lost sight of the joy in my life. The skills that were meant to help me thrive were doing nothing but feed my survival. I'd catch myself grocery shopping at top speed, get accused of interrupting people so I could finish their sentences, inhale my meals so I can get onto whatever is next, feel guilty watching movies while the sun shines outside. I'd automatically drive in the fast lane, make to-do lists of my to-do lists, and set timers for everything I felt I needed to accomplish. I got so locked into being productive that it became intertwined with my perspective on how I saw myself. That if I were to stop, rest, or even just pause for a minute, my value would diminish. That if I chose rest, I was lazy. That if I walked slower, I would be late. That if I didn't take on the project, my worth would be less. My nervous system had forgotten what it's like to be still. It had forgotten what it's like to live a life full of joy. Joy is not something that can be forced, timed, managed, or multitasked. It is something that blossoms from a nervous system that feels safe, calm, and nurtured. I hadn't lost my joy. I had just forgotten how to access it. When I sat with this for a while, I remembered how my joy had always been found in the little moments, the unplanned moments, the moments of calm and serenity, the moments that are easy to miss when you're walking too fast. My joy on Te Araroa wasn't found by getting to the hut by a certain time or knocking off a certain number of kilometers. It was getting to experience the most glorious sunrises over the dew-wet grass. It was reaching the top of a mountain and breathing in that fresh air. It was the spontaneous swims in the river. It was claiming a bunk in a hut after a long day of walking and not caring what time it was. There were so many moments of joy along Te Araroa, and they were what made the journey truly special and magical. But none of them had anything to do with how productive I was for that day or how fast I walked. Those moments happened because I slowed down enough to notice. Nowadays, there's a lot of competitiveness along Te Araroa where people will debate gear choices and declare top speeds or great distances. While there's nothing inherently wrong with any of those things, I am myself am very competitive. I know that they're less indicative of the joy of the journey along the way. And for me, joy is a sign of a life that is thriving. And I'll take that any day. I'm still a fast walker, and I probably always will be one. Being a doer is something I will always identify with. It's part of who I am. The things I've achieved will never fall into the regret category of my life because they built my life and they shaped me. My productivity has always been one of my greatest strengths. And the problem wasn't that I loved doing. The problem was that I started to believe doing held more value than who I am. These days, I make time to deliberately slow my pace, and I'm teaching my nervous system that there's no more emergency to manage, that I don't have to outrun my life, that rest isn't something I need to earn, and that joy was never waiting for me at the finish line. It was always scattered along the trail, asking me to slow down enough to notice it. I'm Shalane. I share stories about growth, authenticity, and creating a life that truly feels like yours. I'm an author, speaker, and momentum coach helping people reconnect with themselves and build a life they no longer need to escape from. If you're ready to stop living small and start building the life you know you're capable of, follow along, explore my Substack, or learn more about working with me, one step at a time.